So you just ordered a new Consew. This is what you'll get in UPS. You get a box and it'll have the motor in it. You'll get a bigger box and it will have the sewing machine head in it. And then depending on what table you order, you may get 2 boxes or 1 box. In this particular setup, 1 box is the table legs and 1 box is actually the table top. Sometimes they'll come together. So you get a nice pack like that dropped off at your door from UPS, FedEx, or whoever. And that's normal to see. So now it's time for our motor. Open up the box. We have our handy dandy instruction sheet, and it tells you how to adjust the speed, a bunch of warnings. The installation is real in depth. And it's got a schematic of the motor. Just set that to the side. We've got our spare parts that we went over earlier. We've got the brushes and we've got the fuse. Put the fuse in the brushes bag so you don't lose it. Set that to the side. We've got our hardware bag. We're going to set it down right here. We've got our belt cover. Give it a little love to get it out of there. They put it in tight. Alright, I'm going to set that down. Now we have our motor inside the box. Comes out. Just give it a once over. It's in plastic. Make sure that our friends at UPS or FedEx didn't break it or drop it or have any visual damage to it. Alright, so everything seems to be okay in that box. So we'll put it all back in here and we're just going to set it to the side. Alright, now we have the sewing machine box itself, and we have the Consew. We have the part number down here. This particular unit is a 205RB, and again it's going to say that right there, and it's going to have the serial number and the official Consew tag. So we're going to open this one up. We're just going to check it, make sure there's no damage in it. Watch out for the staples, they're mean. So we open it up and we got a whole bunch of stuff. This right here is the bobbin winder. We're just going to set it to the side. We have the knee lift package. We have the spare parts pack, and it has some screwdrivers, some bobbins. It has the knee lift mushroom and some needles in it. Handy dandy big screwdriver. This is the hinges and rubber mounts for the table. This is the safety guard for the drive belt that goes down to the motor. Bottle of oil. It's normal, if you can see that, it's only going to be about half full. That's all you need. Over in this corner is the thread stand, and it's all disassembled in the bag. And we have the motor belt. And then we have the top cover. Slide that off, and down in here we have the sewing machine. Basically, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the hand wheel is not broken. So just a visual inspection of that. Take a quick look, and she looks good to go. that's pretty much all we need to do right now, and we'll set this to the side. Alright, here's the box that has our stand in it. Let's open up carefully so we don't mess it up. Oh, it has a table in this one too. Oh, actually this is 2 tables. So, this is the table box, not the stand box. Now, this particular box has 2 tables in it because I ordered 2 machines. If you ordered 1 machine, you'll get 1 table. Alright, so that's what she looks like. Just want to do a quick visual inspection. Make sure there's no real damage. Now, understand these are industrial machines, so there might be some little imperfections here or there. They're not show models. But as long as your corners aren't damaged and it's not a UPS damage item, you're good to go. So let's set this off to the side. So we're going to unbox the table legs and stand. Open her up, and the first thing we have here is the foot pedal. The plastic that's on this, sometimes the plastic's already attached, sometimes it's not. If it's not attached, you just stretch it and poke the tabs through the holes. We have a leg assembly. This is going to be the right hand leg if you're looking at it up. There's no real way to tell the difference. They're not marked. But when we put the table together, I'll show you the trick of having these facing the right way. We have the other leg assembly. This is the 2 top posts, and it looks like I slid them in together. Slide them apart if they're together, just slide them apart. These things here are just protective corner posts that they use when shipping. We have the back support, and we have the foot pedal support. And then we have our drawer, and it's got all our goodies in there. It has the hardware bag, the drawer slides, the foot pedal motor bracket. This is the parts to hook the foot pedal to the motor. And then there should be 2 of these, and one's floating around loose in the box. And these are the brackets that you bolt the legs together with. Alright, we're going to go over the tools you need to assemble the Consew table and stand. Hammer. Claw hammer will work. Just anything small that you can do a little tapping with. A 17mm open-end box-end wrench. A 15mm wrench. 14mm wrench. 10mm and 8mm. Then you need a screwdriver, Phillips head, cross point. And if you're using a power screwdriver, you'll need a number 2 Phillips, a number 1 Phillips, and depending on if you get Phillips head screws or socket screws, something like a 5/16 inch socket bit. And then you'll need a small drill bit, 1/16 of an inch, in that neighborhood. About twice the size of a pencil lead will be just fine. Don't need a big one. Those are all the tools you need. You can do away with the wrenches and use a crescent wrench, but it's real difficult. And a power screwdriver makes it really easy. Alright, we're going to start assembling the table, legs, and tabletop. Orientate the tabletop. So you're sitting where I'm sitting, and up in the top left-hand corner is a hole, and that's for your thread stand. That's how you want to orientate this. This is your hole for your belt, and of course some sewing machine. So you want to stand or sit, stand, or put it on your workbench so you're orientated this way. So now you have your hardware pack, and you're going to want to open it up, and we're just going to dump it out. And we can sort it out here. You got some big bolts. Sort them out. And we have some screws, some little bolts, some little nuts. There we go. Alright, so these don't have bolts. Excuse me, nuts. These have nuts. You got itty bitty screws. These two plates are for doing your attaching your foot pedal bracket to your legs. These are for attaching your foot pedal to your foot pedal support. And we have two strange pocket bolts there. And we'll figure out what those are for. So the first thing you want to do is grab, these are actually the leg tops. And you want to orientate it properly. And what I do is I put them together here. And you notice how they have an open side and a closed side. Alright, the two open sides face each other. So you're going to have the long part facing you and the short little part here facing away. Alright? One goes here, just generally. One goes there. Now you take the leg in the same orientation. You got the open part facing the motor. So the open parts are facing each other. And then we get two screws, two of the big screws. And come over here, we slide it over top of this one. Now, you notice there's two long slots. You got a hole right here. It's in this way. I always put it so I'm in the top, actually the bottom of the top slot. That gives us a standard spot for our height. That's pretty much where I put all my machines together at. You can go higher, lower, whatever fits you, and you can also adjust that once you have the machine in. Now you take this little thing and it's threaded, so it goes right inside here, and you'll take a bolt. It takes 6 hands to do it. Place it in there, put your bolts on the back side, and you just got to line it up and thread it into that hole. Alright, you're going to do the same on the other side. So now you have that piece, which is your backer plate, and it's bolted together. You can still slide it up and down, and like I said, I have it all the way up tight here. Now, all you're going to do is finger tighten this, and you're going to set it over to the side. We're going to do the same with the next one. Remember, don't tighten them with the wrench yet. You gotta do a little finite adjustment. Okay. Alright, so we just got them set up like this on the table, top. Sometimes they stay, sometimes they won't. You don't want to stay. So, this is where a second hand comes in handy, or a second person. See how I lean them up together? Old marine trick. Now you grab your Consew back support. And the trick here is to flip it over so it's upside down. Alright, that way, because when you flip the table over, it'll be right side up. So we want to put this on. There's two holes right here on each leg that allow you to just bolt these in with the big bolts. So take all 6 of your hands. That ain't gonna work. Call for my assistant, but everyone else is busy. Finger tight. There's two over here. Alright, so we're ready to put our foot pedal cross brace in. Has two sides, flat side and the side with the lips on it, and the lips go facing up. Now you're going to have two flat washers, they're threaded, and two of the 14mm bolts. And the trick here is to put this flat washer in and then turn it completely sideways in there. Takes a little second to get that in there. See how that is right there? And you slide it under and you put a screw in, or bolt in. It's loose right now. Now, do the same thing to this side. Now, what I like to do is measure. I prefer about 4.5 inches from the edge of the foot right here to the bar. You can adjust that later. Let's give that a little tighten up. Grab your 14mm wrench. Just snug it for right now. Go over to this side. Do about the same. And you snug it up. Now, what this does is this holds the foot pedal here. And if you move this back, your foot pedal goes farther back. So you can adjust it for your comfort if you want to by just coming once it's upside down or right side up. Just loosen these and you can slide it back. Problem though, if you get too far back, your motor rod will hit and you won't have be able to do your foot pedal up and down. So you have to give enough clearance right here that your motor rod will clear this beam. And if you want farther forward, you just loosen these up and drag it forward. Now to actually mount the pedal, you need your 14mm wrench. You need these two clips, of course your pedal, and you have 2 bolts and 2 nuts. Sometimes this is better to have someone help you with it. You need 6 hands. If you notice, you'll have slots through here, and I usually go about the first or the third slot. And again, when you get it up right side up, you can adjust this left or right to suit your needs. There's a hole right here. What happens is this fits in that hole, and then you come under here and you can see how we got the hole lined up right there. This particular one, I'm going to go just eyeballing. I'm going to go in into the second slot, and you put your screw up. Just finger tighten it. And then we're going to do the same over here. Alright, so see how we got her flopping there. Now, we're going to tighten her up. We'll need another 14mm wrench to hold the other side. Now, this should move freely right now, and it's kind of sticky. See how it's kind of sticky? So what you're going to want to do is take your trusty rusty hammer, and since I tightened this up, I kind of got a little cockeyed in here. So I'm just going to tap this a little bit. See how it's nice and loose now. So I just straightened up that bracket with the edge of the foot pedal. All right, so now we have the motor rod bracket, and we have 4 holes across the top here. The motor pulley is on this side over here. So we've got the single hole. We're just going to mount it right here. And again, if you move this pedal back and forth, you may have to extend this one way or retract it the other way. And we put you have your small bolt and a small nut. You only have 2 of each. And we'll stick it in. Alright, we just left it loose so that we can go back and forth, so when we install the motor and motor rod, we can line it up a little better, and then we'll tighten these bolts later. Our big thing here is keeping our hole available for us to put a nut on it. So I usually leave about an inch or so from that hole, and then I take a total measurement to the edge of my table. In this case, I'm just going to go around 3 inches. Nice even 3 inches right here. And then I'm going to measure here, and usually I like to keep it right at the edge of the hole on the front side. So I back it up a little bit, and that's about 2 inches. So we're just going to pick a random number there. 2 inches there, and 3 inches here, and we're going to throw a screw in it. Alright, so you got to remember those numbers, 2 inches this way, 3 inches this way. And we come over here and we measure 3 inches. And we have to bend it around, move it around, and get 3 inches right there. We're not worried about this dimension. And we throw a screw in this one. Alright, there's that side. Now the important thing right here is on the far leg, we measured 2 inches from the back of the tabletop to here. So we want to do that same measurement, 2 inches. We want to scoot it around, make sure everything eyeballs up straight, and we'll screw it in. Now we take a measurement this way, and just whatever it is. This one just happens to be 12 1/4. So we'll come to this front side and we'll make the same measurement. We want 12 1/4. So we'll kind of push this around till we get right where we want it and screw it down. Alright, now we're going to start tightening up our bolts. And that's pretty easy. Be a 14mm wrench. And you just come in here and tighten them up. Try not to scratch your paint with the wrench. And you don't have to tighten the jeepers out. Just get them good and snug. Now, some models have an extra hole right here, and if you have that, you put a screw in there and do the same thing. How I wasn't careful, I scratched the paint a little bit. This is going to be on the underside, so it's not that big a deal. But be a little more careful than I was. Now at this point, they gave us a good opportunity to put the drawer in. We have all these little tiny screws right here. Drawer, I like to put it about here. These are the drawer guides. You've got a groove here, you've got a groove here. And just set in, one on each side. Bring them all the way up to the front edge. There's a little stop there. Line up the drawer, the front edge of the table. You don't want it sticking out. Make sure you leave you about 2 fingers of space right here so you can get in there and screw it down. If you put it all the way tight, you won't be able to get your fingers in there. These are small screws, so we're using a number 1 Phillips bit. And there's 3 screws on each side. Don't worry if it's in the wrong spot. You can always unscrew it and put it back in. Now don't torque the bejeebers out of these screws, as you'll break the plastic. Just made to be snugged up. Alright, just make sure your drawer slides in and out. Nice and neat. They're nice enough to give us 2 extra screws, so we'll put those inside. So now it's time for our motor. These new motors are only about 13 to 15 pounds, so they're a lot lighter than the old style. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to dump out our hardware package and take a look at what we got. We have 3 bolts for the motor itself. We have 3 black rubber washers. This is a spare brake pad for the motor. I'm going to put that to the side. We have 3 washers for the motor, 3 bolts, 3 lock washers. There are 3, should be gold colored or brass colored screws. Those are for the motor cover. Put the motor cover over here and set to the side. These 2 little screws are for the switch to the motor. And these little cable clamps are for the motor wires. Put these over here. Pull the wires. They're already pre-connected, but you kind of got to untangle them. We stuff them under here for shipping. And they're free. Now, the motor is oriented like that with a pulley where the belt hole is. And on this side of the motor we have 2 slots for bolts. And this motor side of the motor we have 1 slot. There's 2 holes here, 1 hole here. So that's how the motor is going to be orientated. Just set that right in the hole. Now what we have to do, we have to take the bolts and put them up from the underside. So I just kind of tilt it up, put my foot under it, and let's just put these bolts here, all 3 of them. Alright, our 3 bolts. Now we've got to put our 3 rubber washers on with the little extension on the top side. Push them down. Alright, now we're ready to set the motor on. And it just goes like so. Easy. Now we take our 3 washers, our big washers, and we put them on. The 3 bolts. Now we have our 3 lock washers, little split washer, and they go on. Now we have our 3 bolts. We put them on. Just finger tight, that's it. Now, where we're looking at the bottom of the back side of the motor here, a couple things to point out. This is a 110 volt plug, so you can plug a light in if you want to plug a light in. This is a reversing switch. Some sewing machines run backwards from other sewing machines. So if you get all this hooked up and your sewing machine is running backwards and the fabric's being spit out towards you instead of through the machine, you just come over here and flip this switch to the other side, and that reverses the motor, which will reverse your sewing machine. So, real handy feature there. Right here is the motor brush port. Here's your spare motor brushes. You would unscrew this little screw. There's one on each side. And then you would, if your brush is everywhere out, you would replace your brush right there. Real easy to do, not a big deal. Alright, so now we need to install the wires. And with that, we take off the tie. Everything's pre-wired, we just have to attach the wires to the machine. So, I just kind of go around this area, then we'll go around the front and screw it down. Alright, they gave us these 2 handy dandy black screws, and I just take and come somewhere where I want it. You can put this thing anywhere you want it, but I usually go right off the edge of this foot. And I make sure I'm recessed so that it's not sticking out to get hit or accidentally bump. So I recess it just a 1/4 of an inch. Take my screw, get where I want it. Remember, don't over tighten it, because you can easily just break the plastic. So we have our switch mounted. Now let's tie down these cables. Now I take my trusty rusty hammer, and I take a clamp. I just kind of come over here, lay them out kind of neatly, and I put a clamp about right there. Try not to whack my finger on the first try. Put a clamp about right there. Come over to the other side. And we got this hole right here we got to keep an eye on for our thread stand. Go. We got our cords attached, and that is ready to plug in.